Good afternoon. Welcome to OptionsTender. It's Monday, October 13th, 2025. Welcome, traders. We have a lot going on. I'm going to cover it quickly, and we'll go through SPX on multiple time frames. We'll see what other indices we can hit just to show you what's going on. I do want to make sure that we go to SMH, and we'll do that on the daily for sure, and the VIX as well, because we placed a trade on there. Now we're scaling back into puts here. We had a technical breakdown in the market, huge weekly bearish engulfing candle. And I think that we were looking for the bounce on Friday. It was extremely bearish, added some calls there, went net long, and now we're net short again. So I'll show you why in just a second. We're doing this intraday about 12:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. If you want to get these videos intraday, consider becoming a YouTube member. Now, it's 99 cents a month, okay? And on Patreon, it's $3. It's up to you which one. I was trying to get everybody to go to YouTube, but doesn't matter to me which one you want to do. It's just for support here. And also, I'd like to show you that... show you a little sneak preview of the Discord. We added Cheddar Flow data today. Just came out today, and that, there's no extra charge. It's all built in here. So here's our trade alert tab. First of all, we have our stock talk. We're in there each and every day, all the time. We have great traders in there. You have their trade ideas here, and those traders are knocking it out of the park here. So fantastic. Flying Disc, thank you for all your help you've been doing there. The trade alerts here, I added on some today. We're looking at stars, getting into stars for a quick, it's correcting right now, and we're looking for some calls in that one. And so all sorts of stuff here. But the main one is the Cheddar data. We have the order flow, amazing. It's all part of this, and a dark pool here, so you can check out all that information. And then if you're already in here, just go down to tutorials, and here's a good Cheddar Flow tutorial for you if you're already a member in here and you want to learn how to read some of this data here. Okay, so let's jump back into our regular show here. Let's get this out of here. All right, so we have SPX on the weekly time frame. I want to start off here with this. The moving average is the most important one on this time frame. That's all I'm going to show you. And we came directly. First of all, we engulfed 3 trading weeks here, and we came directly into the 8 EMA. So we're looking for. There's a confluence of different levels on there. You can see from the wicks here that was good support as well. And so we got the bounce off of that, and then we're looking to short the bounce here. Okay, so let's move on to the daily. And with the naked chart here, we can see that 1 day bearish engulfing just wiped out all of these trading days. And I warned about that. That was what we were looking for. Obviously, you know that I was looking for back here, up here, and it didn't work out that way. I understand that, but they were objective shorts. And if you took profit off there, you did okay anyway. The trend was up. But now we have this huge technical breakdown. Just that candle itself is very bearish, and we'll look for some follow through. I don't think that's happening today. We do have Powell tomorrow about 12:20 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And that's probably when I'm going to do my next video. So we may see what happens there. It's turnaround Tuesday. That's what we're going to look for. Some follow through after today. I don't think we're going to get that movement today. It was a nice bounce here. Okay, so let's add on our trend indicator. We have broken down underneath, got that sell signal. Obviously, the price is just holding up just above here. And many times, price gets, for example, below and then whips back up here. I think that's going to be the same case here. We'll get a little bit higher, and then we break down from there. We're starting to turn more red on this indicator here. We had that negative divergence on the smart MACD. Okay. And so this trend is starting to break down. We're starting to get that red there as well. We'll see if we get continuation. Here's your moving averages. We're underneath that 8 and the 20. So that was kind of the point where I was like, we could reverse from right here. But again, price likes to hit your stops, and these are just moving averages. Okay, they're not directly support or resistance. You wick underneath, you get underneath, and you get back over. So we broke down underneath, and I think we'll probably today or tomorrow, or the rest of the week, however long it takes, start breaking down from there. And we'll show you on the 65-minute exactly the game plan that we're looking for. All right, so putting on our traditional technical analysis, here's your formations. We had that wedge that got really tight price action, and then a massive breakdown. That is clearly a breakdown of the wedge. And now we're into that support area. That's where the wicks were here. And on SPY, I'll just show you SPY real quick. The traditional look. This is what we're looking for in SPY. So we had this potential channel that we drew from low to low and poked through there a little bit. And you see how it whips through. And we had that support there. It was a good support that we're looking for in the Discord. So we pointed that out, that we had a potential left shoulder head, right shoulder, and that's what I think we're getting right now. And we'll look for that to play out. So what you do is you take a bar, measure, if you want, just say traditional measured move from your neckline. It's pretty much this whole bar here. And then if and when it breaks down, right, probability is looking good that this will break down, and then we'll get our measured move, which is right down to these lows here. So you'll have that nice volume shelf with trade action here, and then you'll have the wicks on the bottom that show that this is good support as well. So we'll go ahead and add in that support area so we can look at that for the future. It's about right here ish. Obviously volatility will be picking up, so it might break through it. It might stop a little early. You never know what's going to happen, but that's the measured move. And we'll do that. That's our pathway. Headed back to SPX. So with that traditional look on, we'll go ahead and look through the McClellan oscillator, and you got very, very bearish deep down within here. We got the bounce out of it. We're still in a downtrend. I think this continues. And as we get, if this is an 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 wave move, you should start to see some divergence in here as well. And that would signify for us as we go down in price that eventually we should have a nice sharp bounce at some point. And we'll be monitoring this as that happens. All right, so make sure you hit that notification bell. We do these each and every day so we can learn off of what these indicators are telling us. And here's the MACD. We changed our MACD to the MACD-V. Works in the same way, but now it has a somewhat boundary on it. And I really, really like how this is acting. Again, that was something in our Discord. Okay, so here's the Discord. And I say our Discord. I created it, but it's our community. It's not all about me. It's about these traders that are in here helping each other out. And here under trade education, we have these new threads here that are explaining things to other traders, to newbies, and really, really appreciate that. And this is the MACD-V. If you want to learn how that happens, join us in the Discord. And so here's our MACD-V. We had this negative divergence here. And with that divergence, let me make this more clear. With that divergence, we did have a correction throughout here. And you see how it actually had diverged here, but we made a new high. Okay, so we were looking for reversal back here. We made a new high. And then that was a lower high at that. So it's nothing's perfect. And then in the near term, that was the key here, was in that near term. We had another negative divergence with the new high, getting real tight price action with that traditional analysis. And now we have a concise breakdown here with look at the histograms that moved lower. That looks Great. All right. And here also gave us a hint, gave us clues. We had our high and then a lower high here with the slow stoke. And right there, we had our sell signal early, came back tested that sell signal and reversed off there. All right, so we got in this oversold conditions here, and that's where we're getting our bounce. We do have room to go lower. I think that's going to be the case. If and when we get into a wave 3 correction, this is going to press hard. It's probably going to get into, the single digits or so, and then give us some positive divergence here in the RSI. So things looking weak here in the market. And again, we're pushing on that. We're testing the 20 and the 8 EMA. 8 EMA is a momentum indicator. 20 is the trend. That is down at this point. DMARC. All right, with the DMARC, we have a 1-2 count. Let's see if we can get a 9 count to the downside. No setup here yet. Let's go over to SPY. Okay, we already did the traditional look. Here is just a quick look. Since it's the beginning of the week, we want to see price action. I know that it's busy in here, but we have this fib consolidation. I think ultimately I want to see price retest the all-time highs back here in February, and that's around 611 on SPY. And then at first, look at that. That's exactly where that measured move is. That price action right here, where you get the lows, got on top of it. That's a 23.6% retracement. Now, if you think we're going to go higher in the market, these retracements should work out well. We should get a initial move down here to the 23.6. I think we're going to go further, but you should see a reaction right off of this area because that is a good support area. Now, if you're bullish, you could see this could be a 535, or this could be an impulse, a bounce here, and another 5-3. In other words, a 535 here, an ABC zigzag into the 23.6. If the 23.6 at 635, we keep talking about that number. If that holds and we get a bounce off of here, that's a good indication that this is a corrective move for an A, B, and then a C wave down here. So if you're bullish or bearish, we're still looking for that target down here to the 611 point. I'm looking for a 5-wave move down there, but if we get an ABC into that, then it becomes a little more likely probability that we go higher and that this is a B wave instead of a 1. It's a B wave, and we get our C wave up to about 700 or so. We have 695 would be our next major extension from the 2022 correction. And above that, the 200% extension would be the 744. So if this is a continuation of a blow off top, and this are expanding ending diagonal, we've been looking at this for a very long time, so it could be done. This can be done here. Everything's satisfied. But if we want this 1, 2, notice expanding, 3 is longer than 1, 4 is longer than 2. And if 5 is the longest, then this could be a B wave into that C wave into much higher prices. And that will probably reflect off of some news that's happening or so. Okay. So that's the in-depth look there. Let's go to move it over to the divergences. As usual, we have that money flow index. We have distribution right now. I do want to see this cycle all the way lower. Bollinger Band, we got that sell signal off of the highs here with overbought conditions and negative divergence. That was a sell signal. We got that, and now we're testing the bottom of the band. We're going to want to see this expand, whether it's up or down. We want to see this band expand, and I think the wave 3 to the downside will push that lower boundary lower. We're getting that tight price action here so far. Bounce off of there, and now we're testing the middle of the band again. L8 oscillator, not in the red yet. volume shelf, yeah, we can look at that now. Now that we're changing direction here, we can look at this volume shelf to give us clues on what's happening. If I'm putting the crosshairs here so you can look on the left of this crosshair with the volume. So we saw price action hold that gap right there. In next stop, we have these nodes that we'll look for into 635. We talked about that one, right? That's a nice long node here, 635. It also coincides with what we were talking about for a possible reaction. After that, you have a pretty big, now obviously we have something going on here at 623, but then you have a nice large gap. So if price just wants to continue through, maybe we get a bounce off of here, 635, just like we talked about. And then this large gap into price action right here, which is all of that during the previous all-time highs there. Okay, so bounce, and then ultimately I want to see this volume node tested. All right, it doesn't have to stop here at 608 or 611, wherever our target was. You have a lot of trading volume here. It can go all the way down to 600 as well. Nice node there, and we'll look for a much larger bounce at that point, or new all-time highs, right? We'll see what's going on with news and how everything looks at the time. All right, let's go over to the VIX. And the VIX is looking good here. Here's the price action. They got really tight in the apex, and then we broke out on Friday. Huge. That's just so sneaky what the market does, and not surprised it happened, but geez. And now we're back testing that 19 area that we talked about being a very important area. And if you put the moving averages on here, that's where that 200 moving average is. Now we can hold here. This gives me a hint that we're nearly done with this correction. So we're getting a higher low, and this market structure that formed on here, a positive market structure, all of this still has to play out higher. Okay, we have no. Here's our start of. In a sense, I'm not counting this as an Elliott wave, but like a wave 3, we're starting to expand now, contraction to expansion. And now we can get our wave 4 and a 5 and 4 and a 5 and such. But it's not a real Elliott count. I'm just trying to give you an example of how this structure down here, higher highs, higher lows, get really compact. Now it's expanding, and you get these waves higher. Okay. So going into, we'll look to see what happens into these cycle brackets. They've been working out really well for us. And if we have it starts on 1020. If we're looking for a cycle low here, maybe we continue to move higher into the end of the week. And next week, maybe turn around Tuesday, somewhere around there will be your ideal low. I'm not going to count this out right now. Your ideal low will be in there. So maybe after our expansion, we start to get a real big drop in the VIX at that point. That will set us up for a big bounce in the overall market. All right, going over to, let's just go. We're at about 18 minutes. I usually like to keep these around 20. So just real quick, the QQQ. We're back testing. You notice those moving averages at 8 and the 20. And we can spike through there and head lower, but I definitely want to get to the 65 so we can check those things out. SMH. Major breakdown. We have this channel. We're breaking down. We're back above here. And, if the market wants to bounce higher and we keep getting news of some deal here and there, I think those will end up failing ultimately. But this, I think it's a leading diagonal what's happening here, but this could be an ABC and you can get a new high in SMH. I wouldn't be surprised if that happened and the rest of the market make lower highs. That's still possible, but I think this should fail right about where SPY and QQQ end. So we're sharply looking, intensely looking. Let's go to the 65 here. At what's going on with this level here. So we have our retracements. Now we hit that options expected move here at the upper end. We talked about that in the members video. That's $4.99. You want to make that video. I'm going to make another one hopefully here today, if not tomorrow, on our Constellation Brands trade that we did. If I can find some time to do that. I really like stars because of the cannabis market. It has a stake in CGC, and so we'll talk about that for members. Okay, so this to me appears to be an impulse wave down. We're into that support, also the gap right here, and didn't quite close the gap yet, and so got the reaction off of there. And so we're looking at this left shoulder, head, right shoulder potential. Now this could, in this correction, we could get it directly higher. Okay, we haven't hit the golden pocket yet. I did add in some puts already into the 50%. Those are going to be much further out just in case we go higher. And then we'll take off our calls, most of our calls, as we get into this golden pocket. All right. If the market decides that it's going to roll over from here, then obviously we're not going to do as well. But we're looking for the rollover. If we go there directly, great. But you don't see a whole lot of structure here. This could be an ABC for an A. We could pull back for a B, and we can go for a C. So we don't know what a B wave is going to look like. This could just end up being a sharp zigzag directly into here, and then we fail from there. This could take, and this is what you really have to be aware of, if we start, closing. I do think we're going to hit this golden pocket and or the 786. All right, so we'll hedge up into the 786. Once we get into the golden pocket, we'll really start to add on to our put trades and keep some call hedges on here for any higher move. But if we reverse from this point right now, I think there's unfinished business. And wherever we hold on to, maybe it's just 200 moving average. Maybe we come back to here and then we get another move up and then we head lower. That seems like more of an ideal situation for the market. I typically not just a straight shot and then lower. We want to see an ABC in there, but we'll be ready for whatever it gives us. All right. And so far, it's typical to get a reaction off the 50% retracement. It's a nice spot to take off profit. Okay. We're managing our portfolio, so it's a little bit different. If you're just taking direct trades, directional trades, then that's the way we all trade different. So, all right. So here's our trend indicator. We're in the red. We're underneath that 20. We're fighting with it right now. So the trend is down. Okay. You can see that reflect in the smart MACD. We had the negative divergence, broke down. We're in the red. That we're looking for a lower high. Your moving averages, we're getting above that 8, but the trend is still down so far. Here's a MACD look. That RSI played out, cycled through. We had these negative divergences, and now we're making lower highs here. I do expect this to go lower, and then we'll look for a positive divergence as we go through. Right, and here's a slow stoke. And this was what we talked about in the Discord, was each close here, it was starting to raise, it was starting to rise. We broke kind of the downtrend there. And so this is giving us a headwind. This is giving us a tailwind for the bounce, right? And a headwind for our puts. And so we want to see that cycle through and get us a sell signal to the downside before we resume lower. This indicator here is much more sensitive, and it goes along with each wave that price action gives you, while the MACD, so the MACDV, gives us much more of a smooth direction or momentum indicator of where the market's facing. So far, it's negative. I do think we hit those lower bounds. Now, we're getting really close to the golden pocket, so I'm not sure we're going to have this whipsaw where we get a bull cross here and then go lower. We could go directly, we have a little bit of room, we could go directly lower into those negative boundaries here before looking for positive divergence and going higher after we make an impulse wave down. All right, and so we will be looking for either a 3-wave move or a 5-wave move in this. DMARC. Excuse me. 4 count, nothing to see here yet. No setup. Money flow, didn't quite get all the way down there. Again, I think we're going to test lower here and look for some positive divergence after we make larger moves to the downside. Bollinger Band starting to expand here. We hit the bottom, had that buy signal into the bottom here where we got deeply oversold into the bottom of the band, past it, and our snapback here. L8 oscillator, deep in the red. I do suspect that we stay in the red for quite some time. You might see a little whipsaw that's green, but I think we'll stay in the red for quite some time here. And then we'll look for some sort of positive divergence when we're looking. It doesn't have to. It could just go lower. It could just get a lower spike here. On the downside, it's a lot different than the upside before getting a reversal back for a larger bounce. All right, our wave count so far. So here's the look here. We're looking for this to be a 1 or an a 2 or a B off of this golden pocket. We're not quite there yet, unfinished business. And then our wave 3 or C, we want to see that depending on where price action. If we reversed from here, obviously that's more bearish, but I think we'll make it up a little bit further, if not even all the way up to the 786. All right, and I'll adjust this as it goes, and then we'll look for a move all the way down to the 162. That's not. I'm not looking for that to be a bounce area, even though price will probably make it to our first target. Remember, we have these targets down here, which is the 635, and that's just because of a traditional ending diagonal. That's the first primary target. The second target will be down here, and guess what? It right along with the rest of the look here. Right here at 611, 610. Okay, so the only thing that we're looking at this 162 to signify for Elliott waves. Sorry, I had to clear my throat. You have your 1, 2, and it's most likely that this is a wave 3 if price makes it 2 or extends after beyond this 162. Okay, that gives us more probability that the trend is changing, and then this is a wave 3. We should see a wave 4 into a wave 5. That's it. So I think that's what we got for you today. Let me go back to the VIX just so we can make sure. Hit that lower boundary already. Tight price action, breakout, and we're getting a higher low, higher high, higher low. This could come back just a little bit further. Let's see if we have any moving averages lower. Yeah, they're all just now starting to get up here. So we could could come into the 20 somewhere here, maybe just a little lower. But we are into, remember, support here. And we could reverse right off of this spot, right where we're at. But I'm guessing, since we're at support, I'm guessing maybe we get a little bounce here, and then we go a little lower, something of that effect. Maybe we have some more price action that has to work out before going higher, okay? And that will reflect on SPY. And that might, again, if we get a pullback or a gap down tomorrow, and then another high here to complete our C wave. So we're looking for an ABC. We'll borrow these. We're looking for an A to complete. And then a B wave, which we never know what a B wave is. B waves can come all the way lower. It can even expand past the lows here. And then that would be a fake break. That'd be a bear trap. And then you get your C wave up into your higher extension. So again, if we go directly there, we'll be adding on to our puts into this zone, and then we'll still maintain whatever happens. Maybe we get a B wave that's sideways and it's a triangle. and then we get that C wave higher. So we'll manage our portfolio as we go through and make it through this correction. And then when price continues to go lower, we'll let our puts play out. But the 786 will be the last area that we have any calls to, and we'll break those off. And then if we continue higher, obviously we'll have to get out of our positions from that point. All right. That's what I got for you guys. 30 minutes, a little bit longer video, but I hope this video helps. Please like and subscribe. Join us in the Discord. Got some cheddar flow in there. And guess what? The dark pool gave us that idea for stars trade. All right. We'll see you guys soon.